G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kaitlyn and I'm an American learning to live down under here in beautiful Sydney, Australia. I have wanted to film this video for so long. I have wanted to make this recipe for a while. So in honor of Anzac Day, I'm going to be making the oldest Anzac biscuit recipe. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, you know what Anzac biscuits are. I'm sure you grew up with them. And as an immigrant, I didn't want to do just another Anzac Day history video. I wanted to do something a little bit more personal with you guys. So today I am making the oldest Anzac biscuit recipe. This recipe is obviously very simple, very few ingredients are needed, so if you want to see just how easy this recipe is, stay tuned. Culinary historian Allison Reynolds is from New Zealand, and she found an Anzac biscuit recipe that dated to pre-1920. So we are talking an authentic World War I Anzac biscuit recipe. While the exact date of this recipe is unknown, Allison was able to confirm that this was a pre-1920s recipe. I will have Allison's full story about this along with the full recipe in complete detail in a link down below in the description for you guys. And with a couple of modern day changes to measurements and overall cooking styles, today we are going to be making that recipe right here in the kinda Australian kitchen. I have my oven preset to 170 degrees Celsius. And the kettle is on boil, so let's get ready to start. This recipe does not call for a lot of ingredients, which is kind of the point of it. The idea is to be able to make these biscuits with what you found in rations. So here we have rolled oats, we have plain white flour, all-purpose flour. We also have granulated white sugar in that container. Here we have some bicarb soda or baking soda if you are over in the States watching this. I also have salted butter. You can use unsalted. The recipe didn't say which to use, and I already had salted butter in my pantry. Plus it's a little bit of extra flavor, so I'm going to go ahead and use salted butter for this. Also golden syrup. This is key to making these biscuits. And finally, obviously this bowl is empty, but it will be filled with boiling water once the water is ready to go in the jug. So the first thing we're going to want to do is combine all of the dry ingredients together. So that's the oats, the flour, and the sugar. You want to start off by adding 2 level cups of rolled oats and 1 cup of regular all-purpose plain flour. So one trick when you are baking and dealing with flour is you never want to just dip the measuring cup in there, because you could end up with huge air pockets at the bottom and it doesn't measure out properly. You could go and convert the cups to how many grams you would need, and that would be a little bit more of an accurate way to do this, but I'm going off of what the recipe said and it just called for a cup. So we are going to level out 1 level cup of all-purpose flour and add that in. Next you want to add in half a cup of granulated sugar. Mine is a little bit lumpy. It has been very humid over here, so just keep that in mind. Again, if you are able to measure this out, it would probably be a little bit more accurate, but I am going off of what this recipe says. So we will try it this way and see how it goes. So we'll get our wooden spoon out, just give that a stir to make sure that all the dry ingredients are combined. So now our dry ingredients are ready, and let's get ready to deal with the wet ingredients, which is going to be a little bit trickier than just dumping it into a bowl and mixing it around. So for the butter, we are actually going to have to measure out 125 grams. So I have gotten out my food scale. And I'm still very new to metric, so I am going to just start guesstimating how much 125 is and go from there. You can always cut it down, you can always add more, but I honestly have no idea what 125 grams looks like on butter. 125 on the dot. We got it. So in a large saucepan, we are going to put in the butter and swirl it around until it's completely melted. We don't want it boiling over too much, so you want to do this on a little bit of a lower heat. Once the butter has completely melted, we're going to add 2 very generous heaping tablespoons of golden syrup to this, and then we are going to stir it up until it's about the boiling point. We don't want it to boil too much, we don't want it to boil over, we just want to get it right to that sweet spot. And if anybody has a good recommendation of where to buy a decent heat-resistant silicone spatula, please let me know, because I am down to one of them, and every time I go into TK Maxx, they are sold out. So if you know where to get these that are heat-resistant, drop a comment down below and let me know, please. So in this bowl, I already have a teaspoon of bicarb soda measured out in here. Now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of boiling water from the kettle, stir it around, and froth it up a bit. And you'll see as soon as it's added, it does start to froth up. So once it's frothed up, we are going to move it over. So once it froths up, you want to come and bring it over and add it right into your dry ingredients. And from here, we just mix it till it forms a nice dough that we'll be able to manipulate. If it's a little bit too dry, we can always add a little bit more water, but it's a lot better to mix it completely first to see what you need. You don't want to add too much liquid and then have it be too runny. As you guys know, I am a huge advocate for getting kids in the kitchen. I think this is a great recipe to do with them, especially because while you're busy dealing with the wet ingredients over the stove, they could be measuring and adding in the dry ingredients into the bowl. It's a great way to get them in the kitchen, get them to use their hands, and it's a great way to build those memories. So we have a pretty good looking mixture here. It doesn't look too dry. Everything looks like it is sticking properly. So next we need our trays. So I already have 2 baking sheets that are lined with parchment paper and ready to go. This recipe might actually need 3 trips to the oven. We will see, because it does say it makes 26 to 30 biscuits, but sometimes I make my biscuits just a little bit bigger than they should be. So let's see if I could stick close enough to this recipe to get that 26 to 30 number. With the dessert spoon, you're going to want to take about a dessert spoon's worth of dough, roll it around a little bit to get that nice little ball shape, and then stick it onto the parchment paper. And do that again with the second one. And when these are done, you're going to want to place them about, it says 5 centimeters apart. For anybody doing imperial, that's probably about 1.5 to 2 inches apart, because they are going to puff up a little bit. Plus we are going to flatten these right before they go into the oven. You don't want to be stingy with space. Nothing is more disappointing than pulling out an entire tray of biscuits only to find out that you put everything too close together and they've all run together and made a mess. So you do want to be a little bit generous with space. You don't want to crowd anything. For a recipe like this, I wouldn't do more than a dozen biscuits on one tray. So now that we have our biscuits rolled out, you want to take either the back of a fork or the back of a spoon and flatten them out on the tray a little. They are going to puff up a little bit, and we are going to have to flatten them out again a little bit more than halfway through the baking process, but doing it this way gives them that pre-flattened look. It'll be a little bit easier, and you don't have to worry about them puffing out too much when they're in the oven. And so, okay, this is a very sticky recipe, so some of it is going to get stuck to the back of the spoon. That's not too big of a deal. If it feels like too much has come off, you could always add a little bit more or re-roll the little biscuit ball and put it back in place. So these are ready to go in the oven now. So if your oven is a little bit more reliable than mine, you could probably get away with putting in 2 trays at once, but my oven is fairly old and I've made a couple of types of biscuits before and know that it's a little unreliable. So I'm only going to put 1 tray in at a time. So I'm going to go put these in, set a timer, and then start on the second tray. So while that tray's in the oven baking and I have my second tray ready to go, let's jump to a really quick commercial break and tell you guys about an amazing small Australian business that I wanted to share with you guys. So when I saw this little Australian coffee company online, I knew I had to share it with you guys. I knew I had to put it in this video, and that is 254. And it is a small coffee company by troopers for troopers. Aussies and Kiwis have grown up knowing about gunfire coffee, and that has been a tradition since World War I, black coffee with a shot of rum. And 254 has brought a whole new spin on this classic ANZAC tradition. Their nitro-infused cold-pressed coffee is actually aged in rum barrels and whiskey barrels. Both are available on their website. I will drop the link down below for you guys. I'm not sponsored. I don't have any sort of affiliate code or discount code to give you guys, but they do have coupons that run pretty regularly. Check out their website. So I'm typically somebody who drinks very sweet coffee. I normally need cream and sugar in my morning coffee, but this coffee has just a little bit of sweetness because it's been aged in those rum barrels or in those whiskey barrels. The rum obviously is a little bit sweeter. Whiskey does have a little bit more of a smoky taste to it. It all depends on your preference. If you want to, you can add cream to this, you could add sugar to this, but I think it tastes absolutely delicious on its own. I would not be sharing it with you guys if I did not fully believe in this product and fully believe in this company and its cause. 254 is a wonderful veteran-owned, veteran-supporting company. So I will drop the link in the description down below for you guys to check them out. And I hope you like it as much as I do. Cheers! So as you can see, the biscuits have puffed up just a little bit since they were baking. It's been about 15 minutes. So we are going to take the back of that dessert spoon, again, a nice clean one, not one with the old dough on it. So we are going to squish these down just a little bit more to get that classic ANZAC biscuit look. And then these go back in the oven again for 3 to 4 minutes until they are golden brown. So here we have our first tray of ANZAC biscuits straight out of the oven. It's still a little bit warm. They've definitely firmed up a little bit. They're not soft and gooey. So there you go, guys. A little bite of ANZAC history. So here we have the classic, the oldest ANZAC biscuit recipe to date. These are nice, a very dark brown. I did put them in for the amount of time that the recipe called for. They do seem just a little bit overdone going off of the recipe. So if you still want to make the oldest ANZAC biscuit recipe, I was able to get 3 full trays out of that. And this is only put in for 10 minutes before flattening it for a second time. So if you cook it for about 5 minutes less, you do get a nice lighter golden brown. They're just a little bit soft in the center compared to the other ones, which are very hard all the way throughout. But if you want to do something a little bit special this ANZAC Day, try making the world's oldest ANZAC biscuit recipe. So on Monday, April 25th on ANZAC Day, Kinda Australian won't be posting a video. ANZAC Day is a very solemn day in the calendar. It's a day to really reflect, to be with your loved ones, to volunteer if you can. So after ANZAC Day, we will be back to posting every Monday here on this channel. So to any veterans and their families who are watching this video, thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, lest we forget.
And the band played Waltzing Matilda as the ship pulled away from the quay, and amid all the tears, flag waving and cheers, we sailed off to Gallipoli.